Ladies and gentlemen, in 5 minutes, quiz number 3 will start. Please begin as soon as possible. You may want to have your browser open, for instance, to slides, okay?
This is gonna be my little homework. That's what I'm capable. I'm like, I'm like, all right, I'm just. Right, and if that happens, I'm gonna do is like, yeah, that was bad. That was not very good. It is what it is. So, and we get to so, right. Yeah.
5 minutes remain. 60 seconds. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and start the lecture for real. How was the quiz? Was it all right? So I was aiming to make it a little bit easier than last time, and it looks kind of like we succeeded, just looking over the shoulders, but we didn't want to make it as easy as the first quiz, which was maybe a little bit trivial. Anyway, I hope the quiz went all right. A reminder, if you saw any questions you thought weren't very fair, let us know, okay? I've got a lot of questions I'm going to revise over the summer. We appreciate any of your feedback on that stuff. Okay? I have an engine for you. Another engine, a pretty notorious engine, one you may be familiar with if you played a little game called Skyrim. Has anyone played any of Bethesda Game Studios games? Okay? It is an infamous engine. Once upon a time, it was known for bringing to life some of the largest worlds ever. Back in the days of, oh gosh, what was it? Morrowind? Elder Scrolls Oblivion, right? Did anyone play these games? Gigantic games. If Bethesda games these days seem a little bit strange, you don't quite understand the hype, a little bit of history. Back when Morrowind came out, right, before the original Xbox, before that generation, games just weren't open world. They just didn't tend to be. And if you did have a game with large worlds, they all lacked detail, significantly, right? They did not have a ton of characters. They did not have secrets to find. Their geometry, their layouts, their terrain was very basic. But here was a studio with a unique engine and a unique ability to create games that felt truly massive in their scale. Games used to be much more arcadey, much more room to room, much more small level to discrete small level. If they connected to each other at all, it was narratively and not seamlessly, not continuously. Okay? But here was a studio that could bring you a gigantic open world and fill it with interesting details and things to find. And that was the creation engine that was Bethesda. Before Creation Engine, it was actually known as Gamebryo. But an interesting thing happened to Bethesda. Their bread and butter, the thing that they hung their hat on, became commoditized. These days, you can't buy a game for $70 that isn't open world. At least that's how it often feels. Nintendo has entered the open world genre. Every first-party Sony game, from Horizon to Ghost of Tsushima, even Last of Us 2 was open world, kind of. Wasn't Uncharted is open world now? What used to be linear, action-packed, focused, dense series are going open world. Of course, you've got GTA. Bethesda's bread and butter, what they used to be uniquely good at, is now kind of what everyone's doing. So what is Bethesda good at these days? The answer is not that much, I think, for a lot of people, though they still have a ton of fans. This engine is infamous. Has anyone heard of a game called Fallout 76? A 3-hour-long video on the 1001 glitches of Fallout 76.
My name is Joseph Jackson, and I have played Fallout 76 for almost 100 hours. I am a games critic and sort of a streamer, and I played 76 for that much in order to do a video on it that has since released. This video is all about cataloging all of the glitches that I encountered while playing the game. And while it's probably been overdone at this point, I thought it might be important to have a video that is just from one perspective, one person's journey in the game, and all of the glitches and problems that they encountered just as one playthrough that was set almost 100 hours. The clip that's playing right now is one of the few times that loading into the game took 2 to 3 times longer than it usually did. And what's special about this one is that this is after the latest patch that went to the game at the time of recording. It is February 5th right now when I'm recording this, and not only did it have a problem with taking too long, it also did this that's on the screen at the moment. It failed to load for the first time. It also shows this weird psychedelic background that is not related to the loading screen. You'll see in a second when it's finally finished loading that this is what is meant to be on the screen after the loading is finished. And for whatever reason, I tried to load it and it messed up, and yeah, there we go. This is what it was supposed to do. The lighting also changes in the second gear, which I thought was a bit weird, but yeah, your first loading into the game, that's how it is. Yeah, so this video is going to be going through all the glitches I found. It's probably unnecessary, but I think it's important to have that there as a proof of how bad this game was and how poorly it was put together. And we're going to start with the duplicating camp glitch. So as you play the game, you will move your camp around the world map and make a base that is mobile, and you have crafting stations. So it's cooking one that failed to load for some reason in the menu, and you'll also have containers. Oh, there you go. It showed up on screen after all. Containers in the background that you can store stuff. Containers are all the same inventory, so it doesn't matter how many you put down. They're just decorative. One container labels the whole thing. I think you can store stuff in the camp box directly. So what you're going to see here is that right now it's a normal camp. This is probably the second camp down, as you can see, or if you saw just a second ago, there were 2 camping stations there, 2 fires there. And the reason why there are 2 is that every single time I moved my camp, everything that I built would duplicate itself. I haven't realized that yet. I just misremembered and thought that we had built 2 campfires, and I realized they're completely bugged out. So yeah, not emissions, but they're still hitting me because why not? why not?
Why not?
I started them, and I just started all of them, completely cleared out, and for whatever reason, they stopped spawning. Or maybe these were always accurate. I find it
Okay, so there are a lot of bugs and glitches here. You can watch this for 3 hours if you want to. We don't have that kind of time. But this is an engine that is notorious for being glitchy, though it is difficult sometimes to know if it's the engine's fault or if it's an internal Q&A process that isn't working quite as well as Bethesda wish it would. It is absolutely famous and has had some incredible hits, extremely big hits. The famous Skyrim, of course, but also games like Fallout 3, which were very well received and continue to be played today. The most recent game is Starfield, which has seen the engine get some upgrades, though the game was a little bit controversial. It was designed for the unusual scale of Bethesda's worlds, which was a lot more of a special thing in the 2000s, the early 2000s. It makes heavy use of Lua as a scripting language, which is a language we're going to spend the rest of today talking about, okay? In fact, we're going to be integrating it today to hopefully save you all a bunch of pain when you go to add it to your own engine. Interestingly, it has a long history with mods, which is a topic we've already covered in this course. It is a very easy to mod engine. A lot of people mod these gigantic games. And it got to the point, actually, where Bethesda tried to add the topic of modding into their kind of business ecosystem, and this did not go super well. In 2015, they created, I think, their own store to allow for mods to be kind of bought and purchased and sold. Paid mods, it was called. And I remember in 2015, this causing a huge uproar. And if it sounds a little bit strange to be very upset about, hey, someone creates a mod, they want to sell it, okay, they can sell it. I suppose at the time especially, it was considered quite against the spirit of modding to create a mod and then to sell that, right? You're kind of taking someone else's work, making a tiny change to it, and you're selling that change. So I guess that's a little bit spooky. And just in general, the idea of modding, the idea of open source, is to create something amazing, put it out there for people to enjoy and get inspired by, and then riff on your work. So people were not very happy about that. It had one of the most epic memory leak workarounds I've ever heard of, okay? Okay, here is a principle that is very general, okay? We talk quite a bit about scalability. We talk quite a bit about maintainability, about coding style, and how you want to achieve these things if you can. But something to note is that none of that comes for free, which I'm sure some of you have found out. It takes some time to refactor, to find bugs, to fix memory leaks, and make your code base pristine. Sometimes you simply do not have that, okay? You do not have the time. So what should you do? What should you do if you have horrible memory leaks on, let's say, the Morrowind game on Xbox? And unfortunately, every hour or so, the Xbox console is crashing. What should you do to resolve this? If your deadline is coming up, you don't have the personnel, you don't have the time to find the memory leaks, what are we going to do, Todd? Todd, what are we going to do? Okay, here's what they're going to do.
Original Xbox, how are we going to get this to even work? And working with them, great tricks that they taught us. My favorite one of Warm is you can actually, if you're running low on memory, you can reboot the original Xbox and the user can't tell. You can like a super when you want to load, sometimes you get very long load, that's us rebooting the Xbox.
It's called memory removal.
You do this. Really?
Right? And as hacky as that might sound, right? As crazy as it might sound to do that, it may have very well been the optimal decision at that moment in time. The game's not working, the deadline is nearly here, we can't solve the core issue, let's hack this thing and get it out the door and working, okay? What an unbelievable feature. Why would that make it in to the original Xbox? Right? Usually people design a feature think, yeah, we need this, and then they put the time in to develop that feature. Let's say we need the feature where we can fake the console turning off, suspend one static image on the screen, and reboot the console without the user knowing. That sounds pretty custom. That sounds pretty bespoke. But I guess the Bethesda team's glad the Xbox team made that. Anyway, may have been an excellent choice considering their situation. And this also goes to say that it's very hard to judge something truly without really knowing a lot of information about it. There's a huge temptation these days, and there always has been really, to look at a game that comes out and it's not very good, it's not very fun, it's not up to par, and say that was a terrible effort, the team did a terrible job. You do not know that. You might look at the game and say, this is not a good outcome, this is not a good game, but you cannot say for sure that this wasn't an amazing, heroic effort by the dev team, okay? And one of my favorite examples of that are the movie tie-in games from the 2000s that I really want back, right? I really want my movie tie-in beat-em-up generic games because you would often get a half-decent licensed title and you wouldn't realize the dev team was underfunded and they had to make it in like 5 months because the movie was coming out and they just had to throw something together and they did an impressive job. So anyway, just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? The next time something doesn't turn out so well, and go learn more about it, okay? And that'll help you make a better decision. Okay, it seems to be uniquely prone to bugs, and there are a lot of bugs you can watch there, though this could be an issue with the internal Q&A process. It also appears to suffer from a lot of very hacky fixes that have never really gone away over time. One of my favorite is right here. So in Skyrim, there are certain characters that you can't afford to like truly despawn for some reason. In the Skyrim game engine, if you get rid of certain actors, certain really important actors, that really like messes up save files or something, and it breaks some of the quest systems and it breaks stuff. So what do? If a important actor gets killed, what do? They don't despawn it. What do? They put the corpse underground, far away from the player. Here's the corpse room. Warning, it's a little bit weird.
Yeah. What?
Oh, nothing. No matter.
Happened?
So this is where corpses of important actors are teleported once they're defeated or killed. And I guess like living actors are sometimes taken there too, if we just need to get rid of them, but we haven't killed them yet. This is the kind of super hacky thing that makes you ask yourself, wait, why can't the engine just deal with this, right? And if this kind of stuff, this might have been a great decision to get Skyrim out the door on time. However, this is really the kind of thing you want them to fix for the next game once they've got some time and once the Skyrim money is pouring in to give them some time to fix things up, okay? So you need to be careful about that kind of stuff. Try not to let that creep into your engine too much. All right, some quick announcents. Dr. Missile, Amanda Missile of UMich Michigan Medicine, is seeking a Unity developer, someone with C#, C++, Unity skills, potentially some HoloLens abilities or some XR abilities too. $20, $30 an hour, part-time position, so it might not take up all that much of your time. If you are looking to go to grad school, I kid you not, right? You'll probably be able to get a letter from me. You do a good job in this course. And you might get a second one, okay? And this could only cost you, 5 to 10 hours per week. So not a bad idea, potentially. I did this kind of thing when I was not an undergrad, but an early grad student, and I certainly didn't regret it. So keep this stuff in mind, and don't sleep on the academic gigs, okay? Not quite an internship at a game studio, but it's something, okay? The Center for Academic Innovation is looking to replace one of their core game devs. I know this because the person they're replacing was one of my former students who did an amazing job. They are looking for someone to help them build a VR experience for the School of Kinesiology. This could involve interactions with some pretty well-known coaches, maybe. I don't know what's going to happen. But they're looking for Unreal Engine knowledge, game design knowledge, source control knowledge, agile knowledge. And both of these basically describe pretty much all of you. Okay? So if you're interested in this stuff, make sure to look at the agenda. Make sure to apply. You never know what might happen. Let me know how it goes. Some quick announcements on Homework 6, if you haven't seen them. The deadline has been extended to Wednesday. That was always going to be the case, always a potential. The Homework 6 kind of has some unique qualities that I'm not super happy about. We didn't anticipate being as annoying as it turned out to be. So we made some additional changes as well. We made some test case changes to try and reduce the likelihood of off by 1 pixel errors, especially on the final few gigantic test cases. And everyone has received a 20% extra credit on this assignment, okay? That means that basically if you can reach the 80% marker on Homework 6, you're done, okay? You're finished. Move on, or you can stick around and grab some extra points, but I would recommend you move on to Homework 7, and maybe you turn one day if you want to. But you're getting that extra credit because we anticipate you're going to get some of those annoying off by 1 point errors, off by 1 pixel errors. You're not going to learn that much guessing, spending hours guessing where we're rounding and all of that. If you want to know, basically we try and not round until the very last moment. And then we round the X and Y position. You can ask us on office hours where we're rounding, and we'll try and help you understand that. And maybe you get it right, maybe you don't. Anyway, don't worry about it too much, okay? Very few people getting all the points on Homework 6. Don't worry about being one of them. Reach 80% if you can, then move on, okay? And you've got 2 more days to do it, so there's no rush. But do try and get it done because Homework 7 is launching today. We're going to talk about it more on Wednesday. And Homework 7, I'll be honest, is where I think you're going to have a great time. It's my favorite assignment by a mile. And it's also an assignment where we move all of the representation of integers and coordinates and floats and doubles out of C++ and into Lua. So off by 1 errors should kind of mostly be a thing of the past. Okay? So hopefully it'll be a really satisfying assignment. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Okay? All right. Yeah, I got to figure out what we're going to do for next semester. There's a lot of tension between our different goals. On one hand, we want to make sure you design and implement your own engine, but by allowing you this freedom, it makes it really hard to standardize the output in a way that autograders require, and we really got bit by that on Homework 6. So I apologize for that, and hang in there, my guinea pigs. I appreciate you helping us debug this course and these assignments. I've got some ideas to make things better for the next semester. And I don't think there's an easy fix, though. There's not an obvious fix to deal with all those nasty rounding issues. Hopefully we can mitigate it, though. And we're going to see. We're going to experiment. My advice, reach 80% and then move on if you can. All right. Today, it's all about a new language, Lua, okay? It feels to me like diving into a new language is just kind of like an exciting thing to do. Right? I remember when I was an undergrad, the idea that an X485 would introduce JavaScript and HTML and CSS was really exciting to me. I took the Java course. Does anyone know what that is? What number that is?
285.
285. I took that course and had a great time simply because, new languages are kind of cool. And the more you learn, right, the better you get at learning and adopting new languages. To the point where you can eventually just pick one up in a few hours. Okay? And then you just got to get past some syntactical stuff, memorize some stuff, not a big deal. All right? So, hopefully, this next couple weeks will be very satisfying to you, in part because you will be using a new language. And beyond that, you will be hosting a language, possibly for the first time. Has anyone written a program that involves a host and guest language? Okay? It's pretty cool. It is something that not a lot of students do, and it provides tremendous power and flexibility. Expressiveness in your program that you probably have never felt before. So I really enjoyed making that assignment. I'll tell you, it is a long assignment, and I think I had like a, it wasn't quite 24 hours, but I had like an 18-hour burst where I just kept going through the assignment because it was so much fun. And hopefully that's going to be how it is for you. Now, you will need to be careful, and it's going to take some thinking, especially to make this efficient and to get all of the unique referencing-related functions working properly. But I do think you're going to enjoy it. And good news, Lua is not that hard to integrate. Okay? I also don't think this assignment is as hard as I thought it was going to be. Nikhil says it's easy, right?
Not bad.
Not bad, okay? Not bad. Nikhil is pretty OP, though, so we're going to have to see. I really, has anyone been watching the Fireship videos that I've been posting in the readings? These are pretty fun videos, and if you haven't been watching them, I do think it's worth taking a look at this one, Lua. Okay, let's quickly just go ahead and take a look. This is going to give you a really quick intro to the language.
Lua, a fast, multi-paradigm scripting language famous for being so underrated. Imagine a language that's easier to learn than Python, while also being faster and more portable than Python. Lua was named after the moon. When it was designed by a team of computer scientists in Brazil in 1993, it's lightweight and extremely fast because its virtual machine maps very closely to C, and when used with its just-in-time compiler, it's widely considered the fastest scripting language in the world. This makes it ideal for embedding into other applications, like World of Warcraft or Roblox, for example, where users can write Lua to build their own games and features because the language is embedded into the base game. It's easy to learn because it has only 21 reserved words and has only one data structuring mechanism called a table that can represent arrays, dictionaries, graphs, trees, and more. It also supports collaborative multitasking with coroutines. Its standard library is very minimal, but it does have a large ecosystem of packages with the Lua Rocks package manager. To get started, install it, then create a file ending in .lua. Declare a variable by providing a name and value. By default, variables are global, but make them local with the local keyword. It's a dynamic language, so no type annotations are required. We can then use print to output the value to the standard output. There are no classes in Lua, but anything you can imagine can be done with functions and tables. A function is declared with the function keyword, then closed with the end keyword. Functions are first-class objects, which means they can be passed around to other functions to support functional programming patterns. Now, to structure data, you create tables with braces. A table is actually an associative array, which means the index in the array can be replaced with different values. By default, it uses integer values, and the craziest thing about this language is that it starts the index at 1 instead of 0 like most languages. That gives us a conventional array, but we can also easily create a dictionary by giving the keys a string value. Now we can use for to loop over every key value pair in the table. The language is single-threaded, but we can use coroutines to pause and resume a function. Create a coroutine, then use yield to suspend its execution. Now somewhere else in the code, use coroutine resume to continue execution until you get to the return statement. Now, if you're a C programmer, you'll be happy to know that Lua has a very simple C API. It allows us to run Lua code inside a C program, or vice versa, run C code from a Lua program. Now, to execute your code, open up the terminal and run the Lua interpreter. This has been Lua in 100 seconds. Hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more short videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
This channel puts out a lot of videos like this for many different languages and ecosystems. And I found all of them to be fairly useful. They even have some for game engines as well. All right, so Lua Lua's kind of an interesting language. Personally, I have no idea what to feel about it. It definitely does seem like an underdog, an underrated language, and I really want to love it. But I will tell you, the initial experience many people will have with Lua is one just full of foot guns, okay? Mentioned in this video was the fact that in Lua, your variables are global by default, which is not very common, and it can blow you up if you're not careful, okay? Typically, when you have a function inside of a function and a loop inside that function, and you put it inside the loop, all right, you won't access it outside of that inner loop. That's not the case with Lua, okay, unless you use local. The way that tables work is also a little bit unintuitive. We'll talk a little bit more about that. My favorite way to think about tables is that they're basically pieces of JSON. You've all gotten experience with JSON by now, right? right? Basically a key value store. You've got a little bracket, right? Braces, and then you've got key value, key value, key value. Lua tables, the main data structure, what's going to be your classes in Lua is basically a JSON blob, okay? And so it'll take a little bit to get used to some of these things. Once you get used to it, I think you'll have a pretty good time. Let's go ahead and take a look. These slides were put together very fast, but we'll go through a couple things together, and then we'll get to the fun part, integrating Lua and doing some programming together, okay? So let's talk about Lua a little bit. Created in 1993. It was created at PUC Rio in Brazil. Does anyone know what this is? Well, number one, it's a university in Brazil. It is a Catholic university in Brazil, which is pretty cool in that, I don't hear a ton about big tech things coming out of religious universities these days. And it is it's really cool that it came out of PUC Rio. You can get amazing technology and amazing ideas from anywhere, and that's worth keeping in mind. It is a very small language, and by small we mean about 150 kilobytes, the runtime, and that is about 3 times the size of this image you see here. This is about 50 kilobytes. So imagine 3 of these images, and you have a pretty powerful language that can do whatever you need. This is to say that it is incredible for embedded devices, small devices that are very memory constrained. And oh my goodness, I actually have one for you I'm going to pass around in just a bit. I hope you look forward to it. It is a pretty simple language, 21 keywords, as the video said. It's a bit weird because it's somewhat popular, but it's not that popular. How many of you have heard of Lua? Okay, quite a bit of you. We got a lot of game devs in this room, so no surprise. How many of you have written some decent amount of Lua in the past? Not many of us, right? What are the contexts in which you wrote the Lua?
I played a lot of Roblox back in the day, so I was doing Roblox.
Okay, it's Roblox, right? Roblox, a huge driver, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, public company with a great product. Yeah, that's going to do it. That'll keep Lua going. There are other engines, though, that use Lua. It is a fairly common choice in game engines. Has anyone used Wireshark? Right, 388? I'm pretty sure Wireshark's scripting language is Lua, as well as Cheat Engine also has a Lua scripting engine. And so you sometimes see Lua in other circumstances as well. We got Roblox Studio. We got, I think this is King's engine. Open source engine Defold, mobile game engine, uses Lua. It's a little bit overshadowed in modern times. We'll talk about that, why that has probably happened in a bit. It's been overshadowed by C#, right? Unity's scripting language, great for many other things. Python, right? Dominating right now. It might be the world's most popular language, if I recall. JavaScript took over the web. It's also sometimes seen as a scripting language. Big question, why would we choose Lua for this course?
Embedding C# Python or JavaScript, those are very large, complicated code bases.
Yeah.
Larger than your game engine.
Yep.
You have to build those and embed them, and that can cost a lot.
Yeah. Lua is very easy to embed. That's a big one. Big one for sure. Anyone else? Yes?
With 21 keywords, it's quick to pick up.
Yeah. This course has a lot of stuff in it. We know you're working really hard. And if we can get a simple language that's simple to integrate, we're going to do that for you. There's actually another reason why I choose Lua. C# covered in 494 and 440. Python covered in early courses, 183. JavaScript, 485. We have no course that covers Lua, and so it is chosen. Okay? Getting you as much diversity and breadth of your technologies as you can. It's kind of a curriculum choice. That's kind of what happens sometimes from a teaching perspective. Okay, let's talk about popularity. Python dominates the TOB index. Right behind it is C#, doing a great job, and JavaScript. All fantastic languages. Lua is down there at 33. Okay, still top 50, right? It's still relevant. It's hanging in there with Objective-C, which dominates kind of on OS X. It's around Julia and Lisp and Scala, which I think are a little bit more kind of hobbyist languages. Hope I don't offend anyone by saying that. It has, some advantages, some weaknesses. When it comes to modern usage, C# has Unity, it has Godot, it has a huge backend ecosystem. It kind of dominates there, along with Java. JavaScript obviously has all of web dev. Big deal, okay? It's sometimes used with servers, like with Node. Coppercube is an interesting engine, web-first engine that uses JavaScript as its scripting language. Python, right, has Pygame, of course. It's the utility language of choice these days, it seems. It was used on the Sims 4 engine, and it actually worked pretty well for us there, with just some performance issues, I guess. Lua is hanging in there, though. It has Roblox Studio, it has Default Engine, it has some tiny embedded usage in some other places as well, non-game applications. In terms of C#, you can get an endless supply of excellent packages via NuGet. The .NET ecosystem is there. For JavaScript, you've got NPM for server stuff and a billion frameworks. With Python, you got the gigantic Python standard library, where there's a standard library for everything, it seems. Lua has Lua Rocks, which is, I don't know pretty much anything about it, but I guess people like it. I imagine it's not nearly as comprehensive as these other engines. The performance of C# and JavaScript from the benchmarks I could see are fantastic these days. These are very popular languages, been optimized, just in time. Lua is pretty darn good, and it appears in a lot of benchmarks I was seeing that it tends to be a bit faster than Python. The size, C#, as Robbie was saying, embedding and dealing with C# and JavaScript, kind of a pain in the butt. Getting Python integrated into your code base is also tough. I've read it's kind of tough because the Python interpreter makes some assumptions that it's kind of it's kind of driving things. Yes?
Yeah, if Python script calls exit, it will close your program.
Yes. So
there's no way to stop that.
So Python interpreter is going to be the star of the show. It wants to be the star of the show in your program, even if you want to put it on top of C++. It's like the guest language you invite into your house, and they just take over. Anyway, Lua, very small, easy to embed. We're going to do that really quickly toward the end of this lecture. And integration, right? Very easy. And so these really are winning attributes if you want to get a nice, decent engine going quickly, okay? It has minimalistic. One interesting thing is that over time, memory has become quite a bit cheaper, and features and dev time have become more and more important and desired. And so it kind of makes sense that Lua's popularity might not be rising as fast as some other languages due to its minimalism. But there are still cases where you really do want that minimalism, especially tiny devices, right? Handheld devices, embedded devices. Binding of Isaac used Lua in its scripting language for a Nintendo DS. Has anyone ever played with the Playdate console? Okay, this is a cheap machine, and I don't mean it's cheap in terms of cost. The hardware is very underpowered and very minimalistic, and that's kind of the appeal. There's not even a backlit screen. Okay, let me get a game going real quick for you. Here you go. Pass this around the room. Start around the room and snake it. But this device is adorable and very fun. It uses C. You can program in C on it, and it has a Lua API. Lua probably chosen because of the processor speed, because of the 16 whole megabytes of RAM that you've got available to you. Small cache, right? Not a whole lot of storage. And so it's a decent choice there. It makes sense. Pico 8 is literally a game engine we've covered that enforces minimalism to help you focus on game design. And of course here, Lua is the language of choice, okay? Just makes sense. Minimalism and embeddability still really matters to a lot of people. And so it is here where Lua will hang its cap. It might not take Lua to the moon, ever. But it will give Lua something to hang its hat on, even as time goes on, okay? And it's really perfect for us as we're strapped for time in this course. So getting that integrated is going to be a big deal. I want to talk to you a little bit about how tables are going to work in our game engines, okay? You will, on this homework 7, which you can start working on now, you're going to have test cases where your resources folder will have a bunch of component types. Each type will be defined by a single Lua file. And in those Lua files, if we open up keyboard control here, we will see that they all contain one table. Okay? In this case, the keyboard control.lua file has a keyboard control Lua table. Okay? It kind of looks like JavaScript, right? You've got the opening bracket, the close bracket, and then you've got some properties, some key value pairs separated by comma. Okay? So you've got a comma there, you've got a float you're defining, a number, you've got a function you're defining called onStart, then you've got your third value, which is onUpdate, which is a function and has some logic in it, okay? The keyboard control, that's a table up there. It is basically a key value store. Just think of it as JSON, okay? JSON with more interesting types. We've got 3 different key value pairs right here. We've got some properties, right, which will be overridable in your engines. So that 3 right there is something we can change per actor, per component even, okay? We're going to have some lifecycle functions. If you remember the first couple weeks, right, you in your engine usually had like an onStart, an onUpdate, okay, an onDestroy, right? Sometimes they had different names. In Godot, update is process, right? In Unreal, it's event tick. But you're going to have to make these lifecycle functions come to life and be called at the right time, okay? If you look at the scene file, it's going to look different, okay? If we have an actor whose name is Donna, okay, then that actor is no longer going to have values relating to a box collider. It's not going to have values relating to speed anymore, okay, or a view image. All that logic that defines the genre we're in is going to be moved into components now, okay? Instead, Donna will have a series of components, which themselves have a name and then have kind of a base here. So Donna has a component with key 1 of type transform. Transforms XYZ, right? The matrix we talked about. X equals 100, Y equals 100. Donna spawns in at 100, 100, okay? It also has a component of type Donna, which has some very specific code related to that character. It has another component called keyboard control with an override of the speed variable 6, okay? And let's take a look at that. That's literally going to be a copy, essentially, of this table, but with the speed value set to be 6 instead of the default 3, okay? Is this starting to sound kind of familiar to anyone? Any Unity fans out there? This week you're going to be making Unity, okay? You're going to have Unity by the end of Homework 7, and the only thing missing is the beautiful UI, right? But sometimes laggy UI. Maybe for the final 2 weeks of this course, you make your own really basic UI if you want to, okay? One cool thing in this script right here, and something that you might be familiar with if you've used Unity, is often when a component starts executing, when we spawn into the scene, one of the first things we do is we grab a reference to other components. Here we do exactly that. We grab our actor, and we call getComponent on that actor to grab the transform that is right next to us. So this is an instance of the keyboard control component grabbing a reference right there to this transform. After we've done that, self.transform will contain this reference, and we can mess with the .x and the .y to change where we render to, okay? And so you can see it's kind of feeling like Unity, okay? You can reference other components, you can do all that fun stuff. Now note, a lot of what I've talked about is not built in to the Lua language, okay? This whole idea of components, right, and overrides, and being able to call a function like getComponent, like that's not Lua, okay? That's not built in. You have to bring that to life in the next 2 weeks, okay? And you'll have to think about how you want to store these different components, how you want to make them available, how you want to make these functions capable of getting references to the right place, okay? Really fun stuff. I want to do a workshop today, but I'm not going to do the online interpreter just yet because it's really important in this 15 minutes that we show you how to integrate Lua, and then maybe next time we can play around a little bit more with Lua, or you can experiment yourself. Lua is interpreted though, so you can go to this online compiler and you can just quickly run Lua code if you want to. Type it in, do whatever you want. It's good stuff, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to open up a Visual Studio project. I'm going to create a brand new project here. Let's go ahead and get the templates loaded. Let's go to empty project. Why is an empty project like first? Does that make sense? Let's go to CPP Lua test, okay? Let's go ahead and create that. What I want to do is I'm going to go and I'm actually going to make my, my main. That's always a good idea. So let's go and go to add new item. Let's go to main.cpp. Okay, there it is. Get the include IO stream going on. Get the int main going on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and return 0. Don't forget to return 0. That actually caused a big problem earlier in the course for a student or two. Hello, Lua. Okay, let's go ahead and run this real quick. Make sure that it all runs. Okay, we got Hello Lua, very good. Let's go grab Lua, okay? Let's go find it. We're going to go to the schedule, going to go to language hosting, homework 7. There's not actually that much time left. Spring break is how long? When does spring break start? Anyone? That's right. That's right, less than a week. Amazing. Let's go ahead and grab Lua. I think this is the right version, right? Yeah, 5. Yep, that's right. Let's go ahead and let's open it up. Okay. Let's extract here. Now, one tough thing about Lua is it actually contains stuff we do not care about, okay? And that will blow us up if we don't bring it out, extract it. Let's go ahead and bring our dependency right over here. We're just going to look inside of it. We got some documentation in here. I don't care about any of that, really. Let's go to source. Now, it struck me as I was thinking about this today, when you're integrating any kind of C++ library, there are a bunch of commonalities, okay? You'll get better at doing this the more things you integrate, but I'll tell you this, sometimes there are bespoke, specific things when you're integrating a specific library that will blow you up. And there's no way to know about it unless you get blown up, okay? So one thing is, when you download this code here, lua.c, okay, this is clearly not a header-only library. Where is lua.c? Anyone find it? There it is. This is not something you want to keep, okay? This is the interpreter. It has its own main function, I think, if I recall. If you bring it into your code base, your code's going to explode because you got 2 main functions now. So let's go ahead and delete that. And then there is lua.c right there, lua.c.c. This is the Lua compiler. Okay, we do not need this. We're not going to be compiling our own Lua. We will be running it kind of in a library form, so delete that. Now we're pretty good, okay? I want to grab all this if I can. I might even just kind of grab it, and maybe I can bring it into kind of a nicer folder. I'm going to call this just Lua, okay? Going to bring it in like this. Just going to kind of copy and paste it right there. And then what I want to do is I want to just kind of grab these files here. I'm just going to pull them right in, okay? Pretty much all the files. I think I might even bring the make file in. Well, probably not. Probably not going to bring that in. Not much reason to on Windows. So I pulled this in. It's going to put the header files in the right place, the source files in the right place, okay? This is different from a lot of the libraries we've currently done, okay? Lua does have some binaries you can download. But the thing about Lua is that it's actually pretty tiny. It doesn't take that long to compile. And so you can just kind of grab the source, throw it into your own project, and it should compile, okay? Hopefully. We're going to see, I guess. Let's see if we can build it. So you can see it going through all the C files, and then boom, it's already done, and we're running. That sounds pretty good. We need to actually bring it in now and use it. So how do we do that? You can, if you get, let's see here. Oh, that's not right. Include. Okay. If you do lua.h, rest in peace, okay? It's very easy to do this, but if you do this, Nikhil got bit by this, you'll get wrecked. You need to do lua.hpp, okay? That's something you just got to know. All right. You'll notice because I put things here, I didn't really need to change my include directories at all, which is kind of nice, right? Let's go ahead and let's see if we can run some Lua, okay? In Lua, there's the concept of kind of a Lua state, okay? Lua, when it runs, is kind of its own universe, and you can create multiple universes if you want. A Lua state is where all the Lua variables are, the Lua's interpreter's kind of execution point is in there. We really only need one, and we do have to create it. And I have to remember what this function is. So Lua L, what is it? Lua create new state. What is it again? Lua state. New state. How about that? Okay. It takes no function. It returns a Lua state pointer. So let's go ahead and just grab that right there. Lua state. Okay. Good pointer. Let's call this Lua state. And there we go. We've got ourselves a new Lua state. Now, if we want to run some stuff, what we can do is call a function called LuaL. I think LuaL, the big L stands for library. Let's do a doString, okay? doString, like there's no comments or anything here. It makes me kind of sad. I wish they would add them so I can see what's going on. This L right here is basically supposed to be the state, okay? So Lua state, and then we need a string, okay? What kind of string can we run? I'm going to create a string right here really quickly. Let's go const char star. Let's call this Lua code. And I'm going to change this to be print hello from Lua. And I'm going to change this up here to go hello from C++. All right? And let's go ahead and run this string if we can. And we're going to see what happens. Going to run it. Oh, this is actually going to blow up, okay? We get hello from C++, but we don't see the hello from Lua message. You know why? There's actually a function it's easy to forget to run. I think it's a LuaL open libs. Yeah, it's that, okay? And you need to run this function on your Lua state. This will kind of open up and initialize the Lua default libraries, which is where the print function comes from. So you can get it there. Hopefully, when we run this, we'll get a message from Lua, and we did, okay? So we have successfully run some Lua code in our C++ program, and it was just that easy, okay? Another thing that you can do that's kind of cool is you can say, well, I don't want to run a string, because if you recall a few moments ago, our Lua was in .lua files, okay? And so, why don't we do this? LuaL do, not a string, let's do a file, okay? It's going to ask for the Lua state, which we pretty much always have to give it, and it wants a string to identify the file. What a name for a parameter, fn. Okay, we're going to call this code.lua, okay? Let's try that, all right? I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of this. And I think, I think that's okay. Let's go in and let's create that file. So we're going to be right in here. And so I'm going to open up Notepad++ to do some programming here. I'm going to add that message. Okay, print hello from Lua script file. Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to call this, actually I'm going to go to this location right next to my project. Call this, what was it, code.lua, right? Okay, now Notepad++ recognizes what kind of file type this is, so it highlights it for us, which is very nice. Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, hello from Lua script file, just like that, okay? You can imagine that maybe we have a variable that we want to print. So let's call this, let's see here. Secret message, okay? And then we're going to do the concatenation operator, which in Lua is ... And then we're going to just print secret message, okay? Now, what is the value of secret message? Anyone know? What's it going to say? I'm actually not entirely sure. Will it print nil? It won't print anything, okay? So it doesn't print anything. If we put... let's see, if we put a script here, let's go local secret message equals Hi. Okay, let's see if that changes the result here. Yep, it does, okay? And what I'm wondering is, can we write the value of secret message without defining it in Lua? And I think the answer is going to be yes. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually do this via Lua Bridge, okay? Lua Bridge is the other big dependency you're going to get in this assignment. And so let's go ahead and grab that. This is another header-only library. I'm going to grab version 2.8. Yep, we got it. Let's open this up, inspect it to see if we can get rid of anything we don't need. Often that's the case with the header-only libraries. Okay, here we go. And we're in there, Lua Bridge. Okay, oh my gosh, tons of nasty stuff. We don't care about any of this. Sometimes there's an include folder. Let's see if we can find it. Lua Bridge. Nope, there is no include folder, but there is a Lua Bridge folder, which looks pretty good to me. So we're going to grab that right there. Here it is. I'm going to throw that right down like that. Again, you might want to use like a third-party folder here. Like Nikhil does that. It's a very good idea. I did not do that. And you certainly don't have to. So we got Lua Bridge hanging out right there. If I recall, you always need to include lua.hpp first, and then you include Lua Bridge afterward. Let's see if we can do it. Lua Bridge. Okay, and then luabridge.h. I think that should be probably good enough. Are you angry at me? Cannot open the source file. Oh, now it can. Okay. There were build errors. What do we got? Okay, cannot open file. Why can't it open that? What's wrong? What's the problem? So let's see here. Lua Bridge. Maybe we need to go in and we need to add a directory here. So let's go in and go to VC++ directories. Let's go to include directories. Let's go ahead and add ourselves. So project dir, okay? I also, just in case, I want to add project dir and then Lua Bridge, okay? Maybe that will appease our compilation. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Oh, okay, I guess that was just, yeah, that was the fix. All right. And so, what do we want to do now? Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go into this Lua state, and I'd like to create a new value there, okay? I'd like to create a new value there. And so, can we do that? Let's go Lua Bridge. Let's go to get, or how about, can I do set global? Okay, we're going to set a global value. It's asking for our Lua state, so we're going to give it that Lua state. We always got to give it. And then let's give it the value t, okay? The value, that's the type we're going to give it. What do we want to give it? What's the message? It was C++ the whole time. Okay, and then we're going to give this, we're going to put this into the secret message variable. Okay, and then the idea here is that we're injecting values into our Lua state that then is used by Lua. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's run this and see what happens. It was C++ the whole time, okay? And so we are successfully communicating from C++ to Lua. We're running that Lua code. One interesting thing that we can do here as well is we can create tables. We can create global tables. So Lua Bridge, let's go to, oh gosh, can we create... Let's get global namespace. This is kind of like the global table in Lua. This is where we can put new things if we want to. Lua state, and they'll be global. Let's go to new. Let's go to add. Can we add a function? Let's try that. I think add namespace. This is what you do if you want to create a new table. Okay, actually, let's do that. Then end namespace. We need to give this a name, I think. Okay, yeah, let's give it a name. Let's call it debug, okay? And this namespace here, can I add a function? What kind of function? I want to add a function called log, okay? And we need to give it a pointer here. So let's go ahead and create a pointer if we can. Void, let's call the CPP debug log, okay? Let's take a std string. I can't remember if that'll work or not. Std string message. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go standard out, C out. It's going to output that message, okay? Message, standard, end of line. Okay. So now I think what we can do, and I might have gotten the syntax wrong here. You'll have to apologize to me if I've done so. And I think we do another end namespace to end this one, right? Maybe we do that. Okay. Let's see what happens, okay? The idea here is we've created a debug table and a log function. We've connected that log function to our C++ code up here. And so let's go ahead and see if we can call debug.log secret message, okay? Or actually, let's do this. C++ has been called from Lua. Okay, so let's see what happens. Yep. This syntax doesn't really look right to me, but maybe it'll work. We'll see. Maybe it'll explode. What's the error? Oh, Lua bridge, no values overloaded, argument types. Maybe it doesn't like the argument types in here. Maybe it wants a char star message, maybe? Yeah, it might take the address of, let's see. How's it gonna like that? Let me see. No overlap could convert all the argument types. Yeah, I might have to look at. Actually, I think does it say on the document the spec namespace begin namespace blah 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 begin namespace. Do I need to do? I did do end namespace. Okay, I might be able to look up during office hours exactly what I did, and you can find the stuff online. It's not too bad. But basically, this is how it's going to look, okay? And when you get the syntax right, you'll be able to call this, and it'll go through. And it is like shockingly performant. Crossing the Lua bridge is much less time intensive than you think, so it's not going to be where you need to optimize a ton. Nikhil, do you have the syntax?
Yeah,
you
don't need that second end name.
Oh, I don't?
No.
Gotcha, okay. So, it's angry about something. What's that? Oh, okay. Nice, all right. Yeah, let's give that a shot. Still not very happy. Yeah, still annoyed by my types, I think, but I'm not exactly sure what it's annoyed about. Char star coming through.
You need an STD string.
Oh, it has to be STD string? Should be const as well. And Nikhil is looking up his debug.log. Oh, there you go. We got it. Okay. C++ has been called from Lua. All right. You could even wrap objects from C++. You can create C++ data types, classes of your own, and then you can expose them to Lua and pass those objects from C++ into Lua so that Lua code can manipulate their values. It is very, very nice. It's very fun stuff. So I hope you look forward to it. When we come back on Wednesday, we're going to get a little bit more into the language. In particular, I'll show you a little bit more about tables, how to iterate through stuff. And then I'll show you a little bit about inheritance as well, okay? Inheritance, a little bit strange in Lua. You're kind of faking it. And the topic of meta tables is like one of the worst explained concepts I've ever seen online. It is not very complicated, but a lot of the tutorials you'll find on meta tables, which are pretty much required for setting up inheritance, they explain it in a very confusing way. So I'll try and make it easy for you when we get back on Wednesday. Okay? See you then. Let me know if you want any help on homework 5 or 6. Office hours begins now. We'll be here for about 2 hours. And see you next time, everyone. All right. Take care, everyone. Twitch watchers, I hope the quiz went well for you. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.